Hi, Polly. My name is Lance, and I was wondering how and when did you discover the autoharp, and do you find it easy to play?
Well, two discoveries of autoharp, actually. First one was in primary school when I was about 4, and I don't know what they call them here, but in England, the little sort of 4-year-old room where you just play and hit things and build things was called the keyver. I never did know what that word meant, but it was called the keyver. Anyway, that was where I first played an autoharp, and I can remember it being on my lap at that time, because you can play it on your lap too and do it like that. And I never touched one again until I think I'd never really played it before writing this album, the White Chalk album. I hadn't really played it before, but I'd owned one since about 95. And I can remember specifically when I bought it in a sort of thrift store in Notting Hill Gate in London, because I saw it. I bought it because it was beautiful. Right there, yeah, because it's got roses on it and it just looked really old, beat up and beautiful. So I thought, oh, I want that. And when I was going to pay for it, there was this man stood next to me. I thought, he looks familiar, and he said, Polly Harvey. I said, Brian Eno. And he was buying foot pedals, and I was buying that. And that's my autoharp story. But like I said, I've only been playing it for about just the last year or so, and it's a beautiful instrument. I felt very, very inspired on it, and I think I could quite happily just write songs on that. I think it sounds lovely.
Definitely. Thanks.
Hi, Polly. My name is Claudia. What's it been like working with musicians like Thom Yorke, Josh Homme, Mark Linkous, and do musicians like that challenge you to look at your music differently?
Well, if I'm ever asked to do a collaboration, or if I choose to, or want to ask somebody like I did with Thom, it usually comes out of, well, first of all, I have a respect for their work, but also I've learned over the years that there's so much that I can learn and bring into my own work from that. And it's incredibly interesting observing how somebody else goes about working that does exactly the same job as me. I think that's always of interest, because then you can compare. I've definitely learnt many things over the years from all of those people. I mean, for instance, with Josh Homme and the Desert Sessions, I'd never really been in that situation before, to be in a room with lots of people that I hadn't met before that time, and then had to make an album in 10 days out of nothing. And we were all just improvising together every day until we started finding nuggets of something that could become interesting. And I was utterly petrified before I went, but it was the kind of situation where when I was asked to do it, I said yes and then panicked afterwards, because I just knew it'd be good for me. And all of those situations, I know that the benefits will be wonderful in terms of then moving on and bringing it into my own work. And Thom Yorke, observing the very unusual, almost Eastern melodies that he would follow with his voice for harmonies, I know taught me to open up my mind to harmony in a different way, which is coming out over the years, just ways of phrasing and peculiar semitones or even quarter tones, things like that he would do. And Mark Linkous, again, I think the sort of homemade quality of what he does went into my own work at home, and I like very much that he takes what he's done at home back into the studio and just works on top of it, and I've done a lot of that myself.
Thank you.
Hi, Polly. My name is Michelle, and when do you know you've written a great song? Or how do you know when you've written a great song?
It's a good question, actually, because you do know, or I'm speaking for myself, obviously, because I'm not inside anyone else's brain, but I do know when I've written a good song, and they are rare. They're very rare, and when they happen, you just know. And the feeling that lets me know that is that very quickly afterwards, I don't know where it came from. I think, whoa, I can't remember generating it, but it just kind of did itself somehow, and it was done. And that usually indicates a good song for me. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that they're written in a split second, because that's not always the case. Sometimes they are laboured over a bit. But at the end of the day, when it's finished, I don't know where on earth it came from. But also, over time, they grow and they become a whole universe in themselves, and they don't need you or have anything to do with you anymore. Talking for myself, I think songs like Desperate Kingdom of Love, or even that funny little song Nina that I played, when I wrote that, I thought nothing of it, and I wrote it probably in 1995, and now I really love that song, and it seems to incorporate life, death, and everything, and I didn't know it at the time, and I think that's, sometimes you can't realise it until years afterwards, I think, but that's the feeling anyway, that when I've made something that feels like it has nothing to do with me but takes on a life of its own.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yahoo!